Welcome to another VerbLink pronunciation class. I'm your teacher for this evening, Simon Yates, and I'm located in Canada. Today we're going to practice a few different sounds. We're going to look at the ed sound. Well, it's not really a sound. We're going to look at the ed suffix, which has three different sounds.
Mi siguiente no me enteraba. Te dije no.
Hi, Sergio.
Hi, hello. How are you?
Good, sir. How was your day?
Six.
Hi, Luis.
Hi, Sam.
How was
What's
your
up?
day?
It was good.
Good, good.
Yeah.
Welcome to another class.
Oh, sorry.
What, I forgot what I was saying. Interruptions, they do that to you. Well, anyhow, did you have a good night, good day?
Yes. Today I've been worked a lot.
What time did you start this morning?
8 a.m.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, that's the usual.
Yeah, me too. I usually start around 8 in the morning and finish by 4.
Yeah, I finish about 5 p.m.
Well, so you must have just got home then.
Yeah, but I work near from the house.
Oh, good. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Well, we'll get started soon. We're going to focus on the ed suffix again today. Revisit that one. Jaro, hello, sir.
Hello, Simon. How are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm fine too.
Did you have a good night?
Yes, the night starts now.
Yeah, a few hours and it'll be dark here too.
So I stopped work right now.
Yeah, and I go back to work next week. I don't know if I'm looking forward to that. I don't know. Maybe I am. I haven't really thought about it too much.
So
But today we're gonna certainly focus on some pronunciation. So we'll get started shortly. I just want to say hi to everybody. And Naomi.
Hello.
Hi. How are you? Very well, thanks. That picture in the background there. What is that a picture of?
This picture is in San Sebastian in a U2 concert.
Oh, very nice.
Yes, really was.
Yeah, I bet it was. I've never been to a U2 concert. Excellent. Well, thanks for coming, class, and I welcome back Usama. Hello, Usama.
Hi, teacher.
How are you?
I'm good. How about
Excellent. I'm okay. I'm ready for another pronunciation class. It's always a little slow getting started, but then once we get going, things move very quickly.
you? Okay.
So welcome. I'm glad that you made it. And
you.
I also see that we have, who else joined us? Daniel. Hello, Daniel.
Hello, Simon. How you doing?
Yeah, I bet it was. Where have you been?
Good, good. Everything's okay. By the way, you were right.
Hello, Usama. How are you?
You were right. The last day when you said that was a A320, just because the cookies didn't refresh. Sorry, I was looking at a different picture. Also, you was looking at a different one. So we both were right.
Yeah, I thought that doesn't look like any 747 I've seen. Well, welcome to class. And I see Hyde just joined us again. Hello, Hyde. Welcome.
Hello, nice to see you again.
Good to see you again. And good morning, I should say.
Good morning. I have something on my throat.
You have something in your throat.
In your throat.
Yeah. If it's on your throat, well, that could be bad. All right, and who else? Alejandra, hello. Alejandra, hello. All right, well, I'll work with the people who want to speak then. So what I thought we would do today, spend a little bit of time on the ed suffix. I've got a lot of Portuguese speakers in class and some Spanish speakers that have some trouble with this, so I want to go over words like this. Okay, and I'm going to go into Google Drive here as well. Let's see, that's not Google Drive. There we go. And I want to talk about the significance of words that have an ed suffix. So if we add ed to the word work, what are we doing? Luis, what happens if we add ed to the word work?
What happened?
Yeah, so if you went to work today, now if we add ed and it becomes worked,
Yeah.
what have we done?
It's,
Yeah, it's the past.
okay, the
Right.
past or past participle.
Yeah, it's the past participle in this case. So for most words, when we add ed, we're now talking about the past. So it's very important to get the pronunciation of these words right. Regular verbs usually use ed to put it in the past, to create the past participle. There are exceptions, obviously. So it's very important that we pronounce the words properly. The ed suffix has 3 different pronunciations. We have id, okay, t, and d. The t is unvoiced. The d is voiced. None of these 3 sounds sound like ed. There is no ed sound. I hear a lot of students saying work ed. We never say ed. I know, it's spelled ed, and this might sound strange, but we never pronounce it the way it's spelled. English is not a phonetic language. It does use phonetics, but there are a lot of exceptions. Watch a TV show, watch a movie. Listen to other English teachers and how they speak. They never say work ed, interest ed. The closest is id. But id and ed sound very different. Now, can anybody tell me how we... Oh, I just lost my file. There we go. Something went wrong. I got to reload. Hold on a minute. Can somebody tell me if there are any rules to determine whether we use the id sound, t, or d?
Yes, can I talk?
Yes, please, Osama. Go ahead.
Yes, it depends on the final sound of a word, of the verb.
Of the root of the verb, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. So let's start with one of the easy ones first. And I'm going to pick on a very famous Brazilian that happens to be in the class, Luis.
Yes.
If the final sound of... No, let me ask it differently. So if we pronounce it id, if we pronounce it id, the root word final sound or final consonant would be what letters? what letters, 2 letters are we looking for in the root word to tell us to use the id pronunciation?
T or D.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. All right, T or D. Now I want you guys to write that down, memorize it if you have to. When you finish this class, I want you to just know that whenever you come across a word in the past tense that has the ed suffix, if the root word ends in a T or a D, then we use the id sound. Okay, so let's run through some examples. I'm going to type out some words here. And Daniel, I'll start with you. What is the root word of this one I just typed out?
T.
The root word.
No, T.
The root word.
ED, I don't know. What do you mean?
Okay, so I don't want to give away the word right now. I don't want to say it. So I've got a word here that I've highlighted, and I want to know what the root of that word is. So we've added the suffix. We take away any suffix or prefix to the word, and we have the root. What we use to add the suffix or prefix to.
Interest.
Yeah, interest. Whoever's got their phone on, if you could mute that, please. All right, so interest ends in what? What letter?
T.
T. Okay, so then it must use the id sound. So how do we say that word that I initially typed?
Interested.
Yeah, interested. Perfect. Excellent. All right, so let me get you another word here. Oh dear, that's not what I want to do. Hide.
Yeah.
What is the root word for the one I just typed?
Okay. Oh, you typed ended. End.
Excellent. Yeah, it's end. And it ends in what?
It's the voice sound. So ended.
Yeah, because it's
D. Oh, I'm sorry. It ended.
You just went right to the answer. Okay, very good. Jaro, what is the root of this word?
Start.
Yeah, start. You see how easy this is? Id is very easy because it only has T or D. And it ends in which letter?
Id.
Yeah, T, which means id. So could you say say this word, please?
Started.
Yeah, started. Now I know this seems very basic, but the problem comes is when we're speaking that we have to remember all this, and we're having to think this while we're speaking. That makes it a little more difficult. In about an hour and a half, I'm going to have another class, Academic English, where you'll get to practice your pronunciation with the ed suffix. And in this case, you'll be able to see the words, and it's easier to do it when you're reading than when you're speaking. But the more you practice it, the better you'll get at it. All right, Luis, you're next, and the word I'm going to give you here is, well, let's just go ahead and type it. And what is the root of the word I just typed?
Sound.
Sound. Last letter?
D.
Which means it must use which sound?
ID. Id.
Yeah, id. And if you could say the word for me, please.
Sounded.
Perfect. Excellent. All right, Naomi, your word will be. Here we go. What's the root of the word I just typed?
Probably great. Grad. I don't know.
Grade, that's correct.
Grade.
Okay. And what's the last consonant of that word?
T.
Really?
It. D.
There you go.
So.
Which means which sound?
Great. Great. Ed. It.
Yeah, it. And if you could say the word for me, please.
Credit.
Yeah, perfect. Excellent. Usama, you're up next. What's the root of this word?
Hate.
Yeah, and the final consonant?
The letter T, so hated.
Yeah, excellent. Now, guys, it'd be really good if I could just end class now and say, hey, this is easy, we're done. No, it is by far the easiest. So Sergio, and I see Alejandra, you're back in the class. What we always do is we look at the root of the word, right? In this case, the final consonant is a T. For graded, the final letter is an E, so we don't always look at the last letter, we look at the last consonant. And again, it's a D. Hate, it's a T, right? So this is what you need to memorize. Hopefully you've had a chance to memorize this as we spent 10 minutes on it. When the root word ends with a T or a D as the final consonant, we always say id. Are there any exceptions where we say ed? Do we ever say this, ed? Jaro, do we ever say ed?
Sometimes. For me, ended likes ed. Ended.
No, you never say ed.
But the sounds like ended.
And id, not and ed.
Ended.
Yeah, id. If you want to get the pronunciation down right, it's id. Watch my lips. If I say id, ed, id, ed, id, id, ed. Okay.
Okay. It, ed.
Luis, do we ever say ed?
Yes, I've already said it before.
Yes, but we're not supposed to. We never say ed. The only time we ever pronounce it ed, if it's a person's name, which is short for Edward. Okay? Only then is it pronounced ed. We never, like if you've got a friend named Edward, we never say, hey, id. No, it's ed. Okay, but that's a proper name. When we're talking about sounds, we never, ever, 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 ever say ed. Now, if you insist and want to keep saying ed, that's fine. But when speaking to a native English speaker or others, it just doesn't sound right. People will understand what you're saying, but it just doesn't sound right. Okay, guys, this is where it gets a little tricky. And I think you kind of knew it would. Okay. We'll look at some different words here. Okay, what is the root of the word I just typed? Alejandra.
I can see the...
Sorry?
I cannot see the...
Okay, well, if you want to open up Google Drive and click on Hangout Notes, we're working in there. I'll come back to you in just a minute. Daniel, what is the root of the word I just typed?
I don't know, but I think it's opened.
No, the root of the word I just typed.
And I don't know.
Okay. Hide. What is the root of the word I just typed?
Open.
Open, that's correct. Okay. And the final consonant here?
N.
N.
Voice sound.
All right, so what do we do here, guys? What sound do we use?
Voice sound, so.
The voiced.
Open. Open.
This one here?
No.
This one?
No. Opened.
Yeah.
Yes, excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. Well done. So then hide, how do we pronounce this word then?
Opened.
Opened. Yeah, opened. It's just, we never forget the ed is even there. It's almost like we're just saying opened. Right? Forget the E is even there. All right, Jaro, you're next. So I've got a different word for you. What is the root of that word?
Learn.
Learn. Excellent. And what does it end in?
N.
Yeah. So same sound, right?
Learned.
Nope.
No. Learned.
Okay. So let me go back. So it ends in an N. So what sound should we use for words that end with an N?
D. Only D.
Okay. And so then how do we pronounce this word that I just typed?
Learned.
Okay. But you told me it's the D sound.
Yes.
So why are you saying id?
I say.
Okay. You're telling me it's a D sound, but you're saying id.
Learned.
Yeah, why are you saying id if it's a D?
I can't say only D. Learned.
Okay, say D.
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 Yeah, you can. You just said it twice.
Learned.
No, no. Learn.
Learn.
D.
D.
Learn.
Learn.
D.
D.
Learned.
Learned.
See, you can say it.
It's hard. Learned.
It's hard if you go fast.
Okay.
Okay, if you go slow, it's not hard. So don't be in a rush. Okay.
Learned.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Jelson. I see you've just joined us. Hi, Jelson.
Hi, teacher.
How are you?
I couldn't be better.
Well, that's awesome. We're doing a pronunciation class. I would like you to go into Google Drive because I'm typing out today's lesson in Google Drive. Just like using a whiteboard or a chalkboard, I'm using Google Drive.
Okay. I've already opened it, but I can't see anything.
Yes, that's because you've got to click on Hangout Notes. It's the little blue icon on the very far left.
All right.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I can see it now.
Excellent. So go to the very bottom, please. Okay, there's a word I've just typed and I've highlighted it. Can you tell me the root of this word, please?
Shave?
Yeah, excellent. It's shave. And it ends with which consonant?
V. V.
Yeah, V.
V, yeah.
Okay. So we use which sound?
Shaved.
No. Well, you've given me the answer, but what sound do we use? The D, right?
Okay, yeah, sorry, teacher.
Okay. So for others watching, I mean, this is what we're doing. Shave plus D. Shaved. No ED. All right. So Luis, we're up next, and let's see what I have for you this time. Oh, this is a fun one. I'll give you a hard one.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, what is the root of married?
Mary.
Yeah, and how do we spell that?
M-A-R-R. Yeah.
Okay, so this is kind of a tricky one. What is the final consonant here that we're concerned about? What's the final consonant here? This is a tricky one.
Y. Letter
Okay.
Y.
Okay, is it really Y though? Okay, I know teachers being mean with Luis. This is a tricky one. How many vowels are there in English?
Y is considered as a vowel.
Sometimes. So in this case, it's considered a vowel. So what is the final consonant?
Double R.
Yeah, or just the R, right? And what sound do we use here?
D.
Yep. All right, so how do we say the word that I typed at the beginning?
Married.
Married. Excellent. Well done.
Married.
Married. All right, Sergio, you had a question.
Yes, but Osama answered my question. Thanks.
Oh, okay. All right, Naomi, your word.
How do you... Can you repeat?
Repeat.
My word. Okay.
Yes.
The root staff.
Oops. And the final consonant is?
F.
And again, the sound we use?
D.
Yeah, or D, right?
D.
I know it sounds repetitive, but sometimes by just constantly saying things, we call this rote memory. If we keep saying it over and over again, it clicks. So how do we say this word I typed then?
Stuffed.
Well done. You corrected yourself. Yeah, stuffed. Okay.
Yes.
Very well done. Excellent. Usama,
Yes.
are you ready?
Yeah, I am.
All right. I want you to climb on high for this one. What's the root of that word?
Climb.
Yeah, climb. Final consonant?
Climbed.
Final consonant?
D. Yeah, M.
Yeah, it actually is M. Why is it not B?
Because B is silent.
Yeah. Excellent. However, I'll let you know that B is also, if it ends in B, it also is a sound as well.
Yes, but I wonder, here the word stuff, here F is, we are supposed to use T, right? Stuff.
Well, it's the final consonant that we're concerned with. So I need to give you guys something here because there's a lot of letters. Let me just grab them all for you instead of taking time to type them all out.
For example, the verb laugh, laughed, right?
Okay, let me get to laughed in just a second here.
Okay, okay, no problem.
I'm doing the big reveal. I know this is horrible, guys. Look at that. It's horrible. It is.
But teacher, there is a trick.
Well, hold on, and I'll let you lighten us on that trick in just a second. But let's summarize here for id. I made it seem so easy, didn't I? T or D. But for d, not so easy.
Yeah.
So
Simon,
what is this trick you were talking about?
It's enough to remember just the rule of the t and the and the rest is all about it. Sorry, about the.
Yeah, okay, so a couple of things here. You can either just memorize d with all these endings, or you can memorize t with all these endings. Let me just make those a little bigger. You stole my punchline. I was getting to that, but I'm glad you brought it up. You can see there's almost as many for t or d. And so what a lot of teachers do is they'll either first give you the t, the unvoiced, and say, memorize all of these for t, and everything else has to be d. Or memorize d, and everything else must be t. So there's 9 for d, and there's 8 for t. Not a huge difference. Choose whichever you like. But here's the important thing, and I haven't forgot about laughed. Okay, I'll get to that. Here's the important thing. Don't use ed. And I'll tell you why. I can always tell when Portuguese students come to my class because they say ed with everything. Work ed, interest ed. Okay? Climb ed, married, married, stuff ed. I can tell because that's a characteristic of the sounds you have in Portuguese. Right?
Mm-hmm.
If you realize, hey, no matter what I say, I never say ed. I know now that the only time I say anything close to ed is id, and I only do that if it has a T or a D. The rest of the time it has a T or D sound. Now, I'm going to say this word here, opened, 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 opened. Is there a huge difference in the way they sound?
No.
Not really. The difference between a T and a D is not as strong as ed. Open ed sounds much stronger than opened or
Can you tell me
opened.
the difference between those pronunciation of those words that I tapped?
I will later because I'm backed up. I've got 2 questions that I haven't answered yet. All right? Because I want to pull all this together. A lot of people have trouble with this suffix. Okay? So really there's a couple of things that we need to do. Number 1, never, ever, 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 ever say ed. Let me just overemphasize this. Okay? Number 2, let's go back to 14. Number 2, id for words ending in T or D. Okay? That's the next big thing. Now, T or D do sound very similar. And it's very important to remember, if you do get those two mixed up, it's not as noticeable. It's still wrong, but it's not as noticeable. Actually, let's make that 4, because 3 is, remember, either T or D, and everything else must be the other. All right, Jaro, does that sound easy?
What?
Does that sound easy?
What sound?
Well, have you been listening to me?
So.
Okay. What I just summarized for the class, those 4 points, does that sound easy?
Not so easy.
No, it's not.
It's not.
I'll be honest with you, it's not.
It's not.
Whenever you have memorization like this, it takes a bit of work.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not going to lie to you guys and say, hey, this is easy. It's not.
I have one question.
Oh, hold your questions. I've got 2 questions waiting, but I need to summarize this point first, okay? I know this is not easy. That's why I keep teaching this class. However, remember point 1 and point 2, point 3 and 4. The rest you have to do as homework. You actually do have to memorize for sound D, the voiced. The root word must have B, G, L, M, N, R, V, Z, and TH. Okay? Everything else can be T. You do have to memorize that. It will take time. It'll take practice. Okay? Keep these rules in your head, as Daniel has said. Write them down. Practice them. When we have academic English, have these rules close by. Put them on the side of your computer. Remember them. Okay? So let's go back to the last question. Somebody asked me about laughed. Okay?
It's me, yeah.
Yeah, so what is the root of laughed?
Laugh.
Okay.
The final sound is F.
Yeah, it is. Just like climbed, the final sound or the final consonant sound is M, right?
Yes.
So here the final sound is F.
So here, laughed.
Yeah, laughed. Oh, sorry, I typed D. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just because I'm under the id or the D, I started doing that. I did it over here too.
Aha, that's what I meant in stuffed. Okay.
Yeah. So the F has a T.
Yeah.
Which I've already said. Sorry, sometimes I make mistakes.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, it has an F phonetic sound, so that's why it's T.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Daniel, you asked about 2 words. Spilled and spilt.
I mean the different in pronunciation.
Okay. Spilled and spilt. So what's the difference between those 2?
Well, I got it, yeah, right now.
I think one is British and one is American, right?
Ah.
Yeah.
It could be spilt or spilled.
Yeah, the same example of dreamed or dreamt.
Yep.
Yeah, British and American.
I don't know why the Americans did that. Well, I do know why. But they started rewriting English, changing the spelling, and stopped.
They want it to be different.
Yeah, but you know, complete the job.
Yeah.
You can't go through and say, well, this doesn't make sense, so we're gonna type. We're not gonna say, we don't say mum, so we're gonna do it mom. All right. But you still spell and say night this way. Why don't you just go night this way?
Mm-hmm.
Right. What the Americans were doing back in the 1800s is they were trying to create their own identity for themselves, and they felt that they were too British or too tied to Britain, and they wanted to, like children, they wanted their own identity. So English has a lot of problems, as you know. Spelling that doesn't make sense, phonetics that work sometime but don't other times. Mm-hmm. Words with the suffix ed that have 3 sounds. So they started changing it and stopped. They really didn't complete it. I don't know why they only went so far. A little bit off topic. Any other questions?
Yep. Oh, last one. How do you pronounce this word?
Tightened.
Tightened.
Yeah, tightened.
Okay.
A lot of people will soften the T and go tightened. But the T shouldn't be silenced. Tightened.
Okay.
If you're a broadcaster, yeah, you pronounce words clearly. If you're talking with friends, I might just say, yeah, I tightened it the other day. Very soft, final T.
Okay.
All right, so let's go back and look over everything again. Alejandra. Oh, yeah. There you go. So today's class is about which suffix?
Suffix T and D?
Nope. Which suffix are we talking about? What does suffix mean?
You add several letters.
I don't know.
Okay, it's a very important word in English. We have 2 words, suffix and prefix, and they're very important.
Behind some verbs or adjectives.
Not just that. No, it's basically what we add to the end of a word. Okay, we can make nouns out of it too by adding ation. ing we can add, fy, ed. It's anything we add to a root word to make it bigger, to change it. Dermatitis, so itis. Ology, ation, ed, ing. A prefix. Who can tell me what a prefix is?
Before basic verb, no word.
Sorry, say again, Hyde?
Before a basic word, add something.
Yeah, it's anything you throw on at the beginning of a word.
For example, return.
Yeah, or undiscovered. So we have discover. Oh, here's a good word. So I'm going to type it in the document here, because it's so you guys can remember. Undiscovered. What's the prefix for this word, Hyde?
Un.
And do we have a suffix?
Ed.
Yeah. So the root word is discover. We can go undiscover, we can go discovered, or undiscovered. What comes before? Prefix. What does at the end? Suffix. Okay. So today's class is about which suffix, Alejandra? Alejandra, which suffix is this class about? If you've got a lot of noise, you can type it. Maybe not everybody's following along. Okay, Daniel, what suffix are we talking about here today?
ED.
Yeah, ED. Okay. Now, ED has how many sounds, Hyde?
3. 3 sounds.
Excellent. Jaro, what are the 3 sounds?
Eat. D. T.
Excellent. All right. Luis, what I would like you to do is actually give me the 3 sounds. So how do I say the first sound?
Id.
Excellent. Second?
D.
And third?
D.
Yeah. T. T. D. Id. Right? T. D. Id. Right? It's very important. Now, not sure if everybody knows this, but it will come up from time to time, so it's good to talk about here. What do we mean if we say voiced or unvoiced? Naomi.
Unvoiced. Unvoiced. I don't know the word.
Do your best. Let me ask you this. Do you know which of the 3 sounds is unvoiced? Yeah, which of the 3 sounds is unvoiced?
UN first, the prefix?
No, there's only 3 sounds for the ED suffix. Which of the sounds is unvoiced?
I don't know.
Well, if you're following along at the bottom of the document, I've kind of hinted strongly as to which one it is. So take a look at the bottom of the document. The answer's right there. Naomi, can you see at the bottom of the document where I have everything?
ED?
Okay, so you see where it says unvoiced? Do you see where I typed unvoiced?
Yes. Do you mean do you mean the last word, voice?
No, I mean unvoiced.
Unvoiced.
Okay, well, I'm going to move on because I don't want to lose everybody here. Usama, what is of the 3 sounds for the ED suffix? Which one is unvoiced?
T.
Okay, and the one that is voiced?
Id and D.
D. Yeah. Oh, we'll just focus on the not id but D and T.
Okay.
What do we mean if we say voiced or unvoiced?
All right. When we say a voiced, is kind of when we pronounce the sound, we pronounce with vibration, or vibration comes from larynx, I think, called. Larynx, right?
Voice box, or how do we say it? Larynx or larynx? Larynx. It used to be larynx, and then when I came to North America, it was larynx.
Larynx, yeah. Vibration here.
Yeah.
Vocal cords, I think, cause that.
Well, the word, see, what I use is, I don't use larynx anymore. It's more of a medical term. I'll say vocal folds.
Vocal cords, yeah. Folds, okay.
Yeah, because they're not actually cords, they're folds. They're two pieces of skin that are they're more like folds, but you will hear people say vocal cords or even voice box.
Okay.
But most speech, those involved with speech will say vocal folds. At least that's the American way I'm aware of. Okay, so you're right. If it's voiced, it means there's a vibration when you speak.
Yeah.
That's really it. Why do we say that? Because if you're involved in speech, these are the terms you will see written. Sounds like a big word, but really all it means is we create a vibration. So with everybody on mute, go ahead and touch your vocal folds or your sorry, not your vocal folds, your larynx or your voice box, and then say t, t, t. No vibration. Now, duh, duh. It's a slight vibration. That's all that means. And now look at my lips when I say t, duh, t, duh. See how similar they are. The difference is that vibration primarily. T, duh, t, duh, I'm making a sound, I'm causing vibration. Id is very different. Id, id, ed, right? So t and d, the primarily difference between the two is that vibration, which is why when I said if you can at least learn that never, ever, ever, ever say ed, and then just identify, to start off, while you're learning this, if it has a T or a D as the final sound of the root word, it's id. You can make everything else a T or D. As long as you're not really strong when you say it, people will just think you're saying it right. It's a cheat, because you're not doing it right, but people won't notice. But if you say ed, they will notice. Okay?
Yes. Okay.
You can try it out sometime. And like I said, in 1 hour from now, I have an academic English class. I'll pick a news story from a newspaper. We'll take turns reading it. I open Google Drive just like this, and as you guys speak, when I hear a word that's not pronounced properly, I'll bold it. Once you've finished reading, I'll then go over each word. Now, Luis, I hope you're there. Jaro, I hope you're there, because I want to see how you guys can use these 4 tips to help with your pronunciation of the ed suffix.
Okay.
We like to call it the ed sound, but really there's 3 sounds, and it's not the ed sound. It's the id, t, and d.
Okay. Hard.
All right. So quick little test, Sergio. What do we never, ever, 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 ever say?
It.
Unless?
Your name.
Yeah. Unless it's your name.
Edward.
Yeah. Okay. Usama. We say id if the root word ends with what?
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, when it ends with T and D. Letter
Excellent.
T and D. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. So good on the pronunciation. And yeah, T or D or T or D. It's very important. Now remember, the difference between a T and D is the vibration.
Yeah.
If you're lazy, and let me be lazy when I say these words that we already went by. Opened, learned, shaved, married, climbed. Did you notice a difference as to which words I use the T and which words I use the D? Luis?
Not much.
No, Usama, you didn't. Luis?
See? Yeah.
Okay, I want you to listen to me, Luis. And Jaro, I want you to listen. I'm going to repeat all these words here. Opened, learned, shaved, married, climbed. Which ones did I use the d, and which ones did I use the t? Or did they sound all the same?
I think all the same.
Okay, very good. They weren't. The first three I used the d. The last two I used the t. They should all have the d, but because I didn't enunciate it that clearly, you couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah.
Now I'll do it again, and I'll be very precise with my enunciation. Opened, learned, shaved, married, climbed. Did you notice the difference there, Luis?
Yes.
Right. So this is why I call it a cheat. You really should memorize all of these, right? Or at least one of them. I know the rest are the other. But if you are not as strong with your pronunciation, no one's going to notice if you do a t instead of a d. And you'll sound more like a native English speaker, a lot more than if you say ed, open ed, shave ed, hate ed. Forget about this one here, guys. There are exceptions to the rule. Have you guys ever heard the word learned?
Learned.
It's an exception. In English, it is okay to say the learned professor. Okay? I don't want to go into the exceptions right now because it just confuses everything I've taught. But in case somebody's thinking in the back of the head, wait a minute, I've heard somebody say the learned professor. Okay? Or the aged man. Any more questions? We've only got about 3 minutes left. Okay, so let me get you a link here. And I know this class is not as much fun as some of the other classes, but there's a lot of information to cover here. And I know a lot of you really need this lesson, so I want to give you as much information as I can. What's your question?
So the th suffix shares the two sounds, the and t.
Sorry, which suffix?
Th. I mean,
th.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a combination. So, and there's a whole nother lesson on the th sound. Okay?
Oh, okay.
Because the th consonant sounds, t, or d and t, basically involve pairing the mouth, while the d sound involves vibrating the vocal folds. But the th sound combines those. So when it comes to the th, we have words that focus more on the t sound, such as thief, both. Again, touch your vocal folds. Thief. These. Sorry. Three. North. When we say th, there's no vibration. But if we go to function words, these, there, then, we have vibration of the vocal fold, so we have the d sound in there. Okay? So the real thing to remember here is the difference between the two. They're the same sound, okay, sort of. They're the same sound. One causes a vibration, which is voiced, the d. The other's t. The only difference between those two is one vibrates, one doesn't. But I don't want to get further into the th sound because that's a whole lesson. Any other last questions? Class is essentially over now, but I'll take another question if you guys have them. Okay, so here's a link to my teacher page. If you want to see the next 6 classes, And of course, when they start in your local time, that's a good page to go to. I'll be back in 1 hour
I can
with
go
academic English.
Maybe I see the graduation.
Okay,
The
guys?
record.
All right, thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow
Bye.
at the
Thank
same
you,
time.
Simon.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Welcome, Luis. Excellent.